Today on Loyola News Chicago, the latest on the Jussie Smollett case. Loyola student government gets new leaders, and later, one man has a chance to win $1 million every year for the rest of his life.
From the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication, this is Loyola News Chicago.
Hello and welcome to Loyola News Chicago. I'm Colleen Kennedy.
And I'm Esther Alicia. The nation's eyes are on Chicago again. The city of Chicago is now asking Empire actor Jussie Smollett to pay $130,000 in investigation costs just days after charges against him were dropped. He was charged last month with 16 felony counts of disorderly conduct after he was accused of staging a fake hate crime against himself. But this week, Cook County prosecutors cut a deal with Smollett to drop the charges in exchange for community service and forfeiting his $10,000 bond. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel has condemned the decision. Today, Emanuel said he'll bill Smollett for the hours police wasted investigating the alleged hoax. State's attorney Kim Fox has defended the deal, saying that it's something offered to other people without Smollett's money and fame. President Donald Trump has weighed in on Twitter, calling the drop charges, quote, an embarrassment to our nation. Trump said the FBI and the Justice Department will review Smollett's case. A case of the measles has been confirmed in Chicago's northern suburbs. The Cook County Department of Public Health released a list of 16 locations where the infected person went. Symptoms of measles include fever, rash, cough, runny nose, and watery eyes. The illness can lead to pneumonia and brain swelling. Illinois has had 6 reported cases in 2019. We spoke to the Loyola Wellness Center this afternoon, and they told us that no students with measles are allowed to attend class, and they have not had a case in a while.
6 months ago, Douglas Watts was one of the 2 victims murdered in Rogers Park. The 73-year-old was out walking his dog when he was shot and killed. Brian Campbell is Watts' husband and still mourning the loss of him as the case remained unsolved. Loyola News reporter Michael Faso sat down with Campbell to hear his story.
Not only was Douglas the love of my life, he was my husband. We worked together for 12 years. I loved him with all my heart, and I still do. I will forever until the day I die. I'm very grateful for the support and love of this neighborhood, this community that I've received over the last 6 months. It seems to be unwavering, and I feel that I have just as much today as I did then. The only way I suppose I can look at this in a positive respect is that he's at peace now.
We are joined now by Michael Faso on set to discuss the story further. Hi Michael, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So how did this all start? How did you get in contact with Brian Campbell originally?
So what I did was I looked up an old article and I saw Douglas's name in the article, and so I went to Facebook, typed in his name, saw his picture and his profile, went through some of the comments, and found Brian's name there, and then I messaged him on there, and he was very nice, and he got back to me right away, actually.
Awesome. So I know Brian still lives in Rogers Park. Does he still feel safe living there, even though he knows the killer still hasn't been found?
He's still a little hesitant, you know, when he goes to work in the morning, he gets a little nervous. He said he looks over his shoulder all the time. But, you know, he really wants people to, you know, go back to their daily lives, but always still remain cautious, because you never know if this could happen again since this killer is not caught yet.
Definitely. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
Finding light at the end of the tunnel can be a challenge. Reporter Queenie Ama introduces us to a man who uses his experience to help those going through a dark time.
Steve Thiesel walks around with a smile all day at his restaurant, The Works in Glenview, Illinois. During the day, he caters to his customers.
Welcome to The Works.
At night, Thiesel transforms out of his restaurant role and connects to a different type of clientele. On social media, he shares his experiences as a former addict through the lens of his camera. He started a YouTube documentary about his life in hopes to reach others going through something similar.
I've been there. I know what they're feeling like. And now that I'm on the other side, I have to try to tell them, hey man, you can get out of it.
Drugs and alcohol nearly took his life. He couldn't stay sober. An argument with his family over drugs escalated and landed him in a jail cell for a weekend. That's when he told himself it was time to make changes.
Where I needed help. I said, my life has become, I'm sick and tired of this. I need to change. Stop blaming others. I took responsibility.
And that explains the smile from ear to ear. His journey into self-discovery and pulling his way out of his addiction has given Thiso a new outlook on life.
I've been sober, I've relapsed. I've been sober a little longer, I've relapsed. But every time I get sober, I start to experience life. Darkness to Light on the YouTube channel is, if anybody's struggling through something, I highly recommend watching it.
Thiso has been working on his project for the past few months and hopes to motivate others who are going through a rough time. He says he not only loves feeding people at the restaurant, but enjoys feeding everyone with knowledge too. Queenie Yama, Loyola News, Chicago.
Thiso hopes through time he will get his documentary into film festivals, be a motivational speaker at schools, and help as many people as he can.
Loyola student government will soon have new leadership. Kathleen Meese and Mario Guerrero will be the new student president and vice president for the next school year. The duo won 63% of the vote in last week's election. Students voted by email, but only 13% of students voted. This is the 5th straight year that student voter turnout has fallen. Meese and Guerrero beat 2 other tickets. The issues they want to fix are Loyola's housing crisis, safety on campus, access for students with disabilities, and building a more eco-friendly campus.
Loyola School of Communication has appointed a new dean. The SOC will welcome Dr. Hong Chang this fall. He'll leave Virginia Commonwealth University, where he's worked since 2013. Chang will take over for acting Dean John Slania, who stepped in when Dean Don Hyder left last spring. Slania says Chang will be, quote, a real team player. This is the second dean hire for Loyola in 2 weeks. A new dean of education was hired March 18th.
Coming up, we'll give people the chance to weigh in on the crosstown rivalry as the boys of summer start their spring.
And if you thought Apple was big before, just wait to see what they're doing now. Stay tuned.
Sweet Nouveau is an artisan confections company. We specialize in our artisan caramels that are each made by hand. We have a variety of different flavors. We make our caramel pretzels. We have new items coming out all the time, new flavors coming out all throughout the year. Each of our products are hand cut, individually wrapped, and hand packaged by us. And we also do our own packaging for gifts and other items like that for the holiday season. Feel free to visit our website at www.mysweetnouveau.com.
Apple made a big announcement earlier this week. Our reporter Annie Kate Reglo took to the streets to see what Chicago shoppers think about it.
I'm standing outside the Apple store here on Michigan Avenue. Earlier this week, Apple announced several new services, including a TV streaming service. Many are excited and big Apple fans, and others see this as just another subscription that they're going to have to pay for.
It's going to be hella expensive, knowing Apple.
They try and tie up whatever product they're, not in already. Sort of the Amazon of tech right now.
Super exciting, and I have to say, I was so stoked when I saw Oprah take the stage. I'm so excited to see everything she's got planned with her documentary series that she's going to be doing with Apple.
Kind of seems like, to me, it's just another service out there. I don't know that I'm necessarily in the market for any of that.
The new TV Plus streaming service will have big names like Steve Carell, Oprah, Reese Witherspoon, and Jennifer Aniston. It's said to be released this fall. Annie Kate Raglow, Loyola News, Chicago.
Besides the Apple TV Plus service, they also announced Apple News Plus, Apple Arcade, and Apple Card. Some of the people we talked to aren't sure if they want to add another streaming service on top of things like Netflix and Hulu.
It's opening day of Major League Baseball. This is the earliest opening day in history of the organization. Sajda Al-Khazaleh hit the streets around town to ask whether fans were rooting for the Cubs or Sox and why.
They're only a week away for both the Cubs and the White Sox home games, and Chicagoans had some strong feelings about their favorite teams.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Sox because I'm a South Sider, you know what I'm saying? It only makes sense. It's only right.
White Sox because my mom's from the South Side. A lot of my family still lives over by Midway. The tickets are a lot cheaper. I have more fun at the games there. I feel like I'm around more of my own kind of people than when I'm at a Cubs game for sure.
So I grew up watching the Cubs with my grandfather as a kid in Central Ohio. He was a longtime Cubs fan. He had a grocery store, small mom and pop shop, and I loved watching Cubs with Grandpa. Loved watching Wrigley Field. We went to see Billy Joel last year at Wrigley Field in September. Great experience, great place.
White Sox, there's families. They don't tolerate all that cussing and people being drunk. White, black, Latino, it's far more representative of the city. There's none of that pretentiousness that goes along with it. So it's not even close. Go Sox.
I don't really watch baseball, but I grew up on the South Side, so we kind of grew up with the Sox, so it's go Sox forever.
There you have it. Demographics play a major role in who Chicagoans decide to root for in the leagues. Sajid Al-Khazaleh, Loyola News, Chicago.
The Cubs begin the season on the road playing the Rangers in Texas, while the White Sox are also on the road playing the Royals in Kansas City. Both Chicago teams have their first home games in early April.
The women's NCAA basketball tournament is coming to Chicago. Wintrust Arena in the South Loop will host the Chicago Region Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games. The first games take place on Saturday. Notre Dame plays Texas A&M, followed by Stanford playing Missouri State. The winners will play each other on Monday. The last time Chicago hosted the women's NCAA tournament was back in 2012.
Greg Nigel of Columbus, Ohio has a perfect March Madness bracket heading into the Sweet 16. He has correctly predicted 48 games, beating the previous record of 39 games set in 2017. Nigel has Gonzaga beating Kentucky in the final round after knocking out Duke and Virginia in the Final Four. Our very own sister Jean has the same teams in her Final Four. There is a 1 in 9.2 quintillion chance of getting a perfect bracket. Warren Buffett, the third richest man in the world, has promised to give anyone who gets their 2019 bracket completely right $1 million a year for the rest of their life.
That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in.
And we'll see you next week for another episode of Loyola News Chicago. Have a great day.